Hello. Okay, then the issue right now is when can a child receive dependent benefits when the person that takes care of him or her is retired, becomes disabled, um, or passes away? Normally, the first two are the ones that I hear the most questions about. So, a child dependent benefit stems from his legal parents. Legal parents. So that means when either one of those parents or both works enough to become insured, which is kind of a vested thing, to be insured for Social Security retirement. When I say vested, I mean when you work enough to have gained insured status, I want to say, for Social Security retirement, you can then stop working for 30 years and you're still going to get retirement. Granted, it's going to be puny, but your right to it is, I want to say, vested. These are my terms, not necessarily those of the SSA. And as you might know, to do that requires earning 40 Social Security credits. You can get up to 4 a year. So that means you could manage that in 10 calendar years. You can do it in 20 and only work and gain half of those per year if you want two instead of four. And as you also know from other videos, it does not take much work to get each credit or to get all four. In 2023, you got all four credits by working and paying taxes on um, the income of $6,560. That is all you needed to earn in 2023 and pay your taxes on them. Report it if you're self-employed and pay taxes on that amount. Don't write off every business expense. Or if you're an employee with a W-2, if your gross income is that, you will have gained all four credits. Okay, so if a person is taking care of a child and that person becomes disabled or retired, the question often is, well, I'm taking care of this little guy. Can he get dependent benefits from me? The answer is no, generally speaking, unless you've adopted him. Many an aunt or uncle is caring for a minor child because the other parent or parents are unwilling or unable. People say, yeah, but he is dependent on me, blah, blah, blah. Well, from a legal perspective, if his parents still have an obligation to support him, whether or not you're making them or not, if they are the legal parent with an obligation to support him, uh, which remains whether or not someone's pursued it and enforced it and gotten the custody, child support order, as a general rule, that child has a right to when that parent retires or becomes disabled or passes away, if that parent worked sufficiently, as we just described, that child will gain off that parent, even if he doesn't necessarily live with him, as long as that parent had that continuing kind of esoteric obligation to support his child, even if he was blowing it off. So what do you do if you have even legal custody of a child, but the legal parents are still there? The remedy is to get a court order for child support. So those parents, assuming they're able, should be bucking up something for child support and sending it to the custodial parent to help support the custodial person, which would be more like a guardian, right? For the assistance in supporting that child. Oftentimes, those children with a custodial other might also be getting support from the state. Obviously, when it comes to fostering, there's stipends going to the foster parents. But in any event, if you don't adopt that child's not legally yours. You're just having custody for the time being. And no, your Social Security cannot go to them as a dependent or your work record, and once you're claiming the dependent benefit will not stem from that. You would have to generally adopt that child. And that way you are now legally obligated on a permanent basis to support that child, which then kind of gets the derivative of the Social Security dependency. As a custodial person, you can literally back out anytime you want and say, I'm giving up custody. I can't do it anymore. I don't want to. and the state will have to take other measures, right? Not really, you don't escape your legal obligations as a parent the same way. You might in reality do it, but then you're held accountable. So one suggestion may be if you are the custodial guardian of a child, oftentimes it's a family member, and the biological parent, your relative, has not been pulling his or her weight. Maybe it's time to, get a child support order. And they may or may not comply with it, but at least it's there. Um, or uh, sometimes if that parent is not able to take care of that child and is, if proven, would be legally disabled under Social Security rules, and that parent had a work record, if that parent can be then apply for disability, right? And then that child will be getting the support from that parent that should be supporting him anyway through dependent benefits from the Social Security. Obviously, that's not going to cover everybody. A lot of parents who have chosen not to take responsibility, and that doesn't mean they may not have mental health issues. Not saying that. They could be, I mean, drug addiction is a mental health issue. It's also one that you're not going to get Social Security disability benefits for unless it is not the reason why you're disabled. Like you would be disabled otherwise anyway and can prove it. Um, so remember, the legal parents are the ones whose benefits, once they are triggered through retirement or disability or deceased, they become deceased, that's what will get their child the dependent benefit. If someone has custody and they know it's going to be the long haul until that child is an adult, you might want to consider talking to that remiss parent or the unable parent, because I know sometimes they're just not able. It's not a blame game, but it's a real painful reality that they're just not able. It's usually mental illness, and may or may not involve drugs. But of course, the old question is what came first, the chicken or the egg? Sometimes we know sometimes the drug use is a self-medication for an underlying problem. So this is not a blame game. This is just a reality check. But if that is the case and you have custody and you're raising and putting in your time, energy, and love and finances to a child, maybe it would be worthwhile to speak to the parents about allowing you to adopt the child for the purpose of providing him better financial stability with that Social Security benefit. This is particularly so if the child is still young. If the child is 17 and about to age out anyway, it's probably not worth the time or the effort. But in terms of Social Security dependency benefits, because those would be ending shortly anyway. But otherwise, if you are putting in the parent role, um, for financial legal reasons, maybe it is an idea to have a consensual adoption. And, you know, that could be a way to, I would say this particularly if, I mean, I know you might need the dependent benefits to give a better quality of life as it is, because it's expensive to raise a child. Um, but if you are able to already do it without getting extra funds to do it, and you've been doing it, if you do that adoption thing and you do start collecting on his behalf his dependent benefits, not a bad idea to yeah, use it for his support, but then that allows you to sock away some of your own money that you could then leave to him. So that's starting adulthood, which is hard enough for any kid in this day and age, and maybe particularly hard for those that didn't have a supportive biological parent system behind him. You might be able to create a nest egg for that young adult now, so that when he is 18, or, again, it would be your savings, but this is how you do it. You could leave him something so when he's 30 and you know that he's able to care for it, you can then leave him that trust. So many ways to do, productive things if you can plan it early on and start doing it in small ways, in legitimate ways, to help that child that you're kind enough to take custody of and support and foster, um, give him a future that he might not otherwise have, a leg up, if you will, which is difficult in this day and age. So that's just one way to do it. But if you are the custodial guardian and you have not adopted that child, no, your Social Security benefits, dependency benefits that would be stemming from them are not going to go to a child that is not legally yours in terms of parentage. So, yeah, adoption. Give it a thought. All right. Bye, guys.